Hello and welcome to another video. So today we are playing some unlimited Daria craft. Why? Because Daria is actually doing very well, which was to be expected. I mean, it is one of the top unlimited decks. So I thought we need to cover this for the Grand Prix week with all the unlimited decks that are going around. This was one that had to be covered. While I know a lot of you guys find this deck quite abusive and don't enjoy playing against it, it's definitely something I still wanted to cover because it is just that powerful. And if you are looking to use something good in Grand Prix, this is definitely a solid option for getting through those rounds, so definitely worth checking out. So we'll get right into it and check out some games. So we have 2.5 games for you guys today. These games will be very quickly, so expect a bit shorter video than normal, but that's just how this deck rolls. It tends to be extremely quick and do what it needs to do fast. So they have the sweetest card back. I really do like that card back and would love to get that, but unfortunately getting to Grandmaster isn't exactly the easiest thing for me. Most of my time is sunk into making videos, and that means my win rates with certain decks aren't exactly great, so the decks I do well with I don't usually play long term. We've got the Angelic Snipe straight off the bat, setting up this perfect Daria curve, double Wind Blast removing early followers, Kaleidoscope Glow removing early followers, just great plays all around with this deck. So we should be quite easily able to take the emphasis with this game. I mean, Wind Blast next turn, Owl, really solid setups going well. Sorry if there's a little bit of background noise today, but should be a pretty easy game overall, being able to take out this sword player, being able to remove their followers, and just purely being able to counter them hard. The Daria is going to absolutely decimate really quickly. Magic Owl into Wind Blast. That's a crazy amount of boost. Plus even a second Magic Owl. Means we are actually going to have an absolutely crazy turn 5. So being able to remove, keep the Owl at a reasonable health total. Not too low, not too high. Just kind of in the perfect spot that we want it right now. Especially with an Albert drop from our opponent. Being able to Magic Owl, Chimera and Daria all into the next turn. Should be absolutely crazy. The Ogla though, I don't think we will get a chance to play that just because it is a little high cost. So we are going to have to lose a Ogla and we automatically lose the high cost Daria, but wasn't too worried about the high cost Daria. So getting the right order for this play, being able to quickly make swift work of these cards. Like I said, these will be a shorter video overall just because these games are very quick. So our Ogla setup is perfect, being able to flood their board, build a massive board, have both Blade Mage, Enchanted Sword, and 2 draw power cards. Really going to make it hard, so opponent conceding on 5, exactly what you want when you play this deck. So this one is why I said 2.5, because this is a very quick game. Again, I am playing Masters in Unlimited. Both my Unlimited and my Rotation are always Master games, so you can always expect to be seeing exactly how ladder is going right now. Kaleidoscope Glow and double Magic Missile, yep, pretty good. I mean, it's a great amount of draw power, especially going against another Runecraft player. Unfortunately, I mean, the Magic Missiles are great, but I would love to have a 1-drop. Fortunately, it's not going to be the case, but the Fate's Hand Magic Owl is amazing. Fate's Hand in this deck, absolutely irreplaceable, an amazing card. And overall, this deck actually isn't too expensive. I mean, you've got the 3 Daria and basically nothing else that's really expensive in this deck. Everything else is basically silver and bronze. I can't think of any golds off the top of my head, but we'll take a look at the deck again at the end of the video. So going with Ice Block doesn't really do anything against me and basically just allows me to play cards. I don't really have any reason not to, so Ice Block can just disappear. And next turn with the Evo on our Magic Owl is going to be crazy. Being able to boost this entire hand by 2, freeing up that Fate's Hand for some crazy plays. I mean, this buff alone on the Wind Blast is great too. Does allow me to remove basically anything I could ever want. Do go for the play, mainly because I do have 2 points left. So I know I can glow, return this Owl, and have it for next turn. Which now that I've got double Blade Mage setup and stuff. I think that was definitely the way I wanted to go. Opponent instantly skips their turn. Obviously having nothing to set up turn 5, which I did find a little odd, but it's also not that surprising. It's very easy to brick, that's for sure. So we get basically perfect setup, filling our absolute maximum onto this board that I need. I don't want to push the Blade Mages yet. Really wanted to save those till next turn when I can go into my Fate's Hand and just double Blade Mage, not committing too much to a single board.
You're done for.
Do you see the double owl trade though? They're going to trade their owl for my owl, which is fair. And another owl. So the owl actually isn't as useful. Not unless this Fate's Hand really draws us something good, and unfortunately it just doesn't. So double Blade Mage would have been perfect into Golem Assault. That's what I was aiming for, and I think that would have been a great play. Unfortunately the concede was pretty quick. And the final opponent for this video will be Blood. As I mentioned, this was going to be fairly quick, so don't expect this game to be super long either. So we get Angelic Snipe, Conjure, and Fates, both amazing setups for this hand. Like I said, I know most of you guys probably don't enjoy this deck in general. I know, you know, it's pretty big split in the community about decks like this, and that's not too surprising. When something does dominate a meta, it does become pretty hated. Personally, you know, I never had a problem with it. I was always a big fan of Daria, right from Rage of Bahamut and all the way through. Always trying to test it out. I mean, having a couple of spots where it was really good in the meta, I think was fine, but I always enjoyed it as a deck. It was just fun to play, personally. But again, everyone has their own, so each to their own. So this Blood goes really hard. Like, I was a little worried going into this matchup just because they were so aggressive, and I didn't really have anything to remove this Vania play, which made me even more worried that they were going to get an extreme amount of value out of this. And of course, Razor Synapse doing its job as usual, interrupting me, but it's fine. So we get the Night Horde, which is exactly what I was a little worried about. Vania getting really crazy amounts of value this turn. Really does hurt me. At least things like Angelic Snipe can kind of ping off stuff. Magic Owl also is going to be amazing, especially with these Fates hands. Being able to just take advantage of those, remove this Vania with the Owl, ping off a couple of things, hopefully because Chimera can allow me to ping something off, luckily, thanks to double Fates, plus the Daria play. We should actually be able to Daria as well. Unfortunately, the double Fates also means that I have to lose a few cards, but luckily Blade Mage, Ogla, and Kaleidoscope and Windblast aren't the worst things to lose in favour of a Daria boosted hand, so it's not really the biggest concern for me. Especially when I draw Chimera and Windblast. I mean, I've basically made up all my value right there. My opponent, though, really going in on me. These Forest Bats, really hard things to have to deal with like that, but luckily they don't have much else, but I am only on 9 health, which, now that they've played Old Blood King, is a really bad spot to be in. So if I didn't make these couple of turns going forward really well, probably would have been the worst case scenario of me just straight up losing the bats. So first off was the idea to play this Guardian Golem and pre-evolve it just to avoid any rush. Of course I make a minor, maybe a minor misplay going with the 4 damage, but I was also trying to avoid them putting themselves in Vengeance by using Vania's Gift. I didn't want that to go off. Really wanted to avoid that card from putting themselves in it, just in case they did have that. It was what I was kind of looking out for, is why I didn't hit with the Daria instead, because them putting themselves in that and then playing a Vania off there would have killed me. It would have been lethal, and I couldn't have avoided that in that situation. Or it would have been very close to lethal anyway. It was very, very dangerous. This, on the other hand, worked out perfectly well, having just enough damage to kill them, thanks to that Enchanted Blade. If I hadn't had Enchanted Blade, I could have at least wiped the board, which would have been just fine. So this video, not quite as short as I thought it would be. I thought it would be just a little bit quicker, but still pretty good. So If you guys do enjoy winning games, that's pretty much all I got to say for this deck, then I do definitely recommend it. It does fairly well, and if you're looking for a strong deck to play in Grand Prix, I think this is something that will do quite well. I haven't got to test much with a Forest matchup, and that's one that I'm a little worried about, but overall I think it can do well against basically everything else. After all, it is Daria, and it tends to do quite well. So if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. You will find the deck list to this deck in the description below, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.